Hey everyone, welcome to day 4. I've decided to be outside again because it's just a really beautiful day in Michigan and it looks like tomorrow that won't be true. So just trying to take advantage of that. And before I get into what I wanted to talk about today, I just wanted to take a minute and say that I had a friend receive some really awful news today. Just some really awful news, and it was kind of a reminder that the world is still happening, life is still happening for everybody. It's been so easy to feel like life is entirely revolving around COVID-19, and with good reason. I mean, it's affecting our lives in so many different ways. It's hard not to be thinking about it, but other life is still happening. And so I just invite you to, one, remember that. And two, just where we can, let's remember to check in with each other just about other areas of our life that aren't related to what's currently happening. And as much as we can, to try to be there for others, which I know is challenging. One of the things that was so difficult today learning that news is that I can't go give her a hug right now, and that's really what I want to do. I just wanted to get in my car, drive to her house, and just give her a huge hug. So that part is difficult, and so just kind of remembering that there is life outside of this event and tuning into it where we can. So what I did want to talk about today in terms of writing is just kind of this idea that when I can't get to the page and do my normal work, and so right now my normal work, just for those of you who don't know, I typically write creative nonfiction and screenplays. And so I've been working on a memoir for the last several months. It's a manuscript that mostly focuses on the timeline of when my mom was sick with brain cancer. She had a brain tumor. And so it's a memoir kind of told through that time frame, and that goes back into my life as well. And I was just really getting into a good groove of working on it, thanks to my writing group, and in the last month have just not touched it and haven't been able to show up for that. And so what I find often happens when I'm going through something in life that kind of keeps me from getting to my regular work is that I turn to other forms of writing. And so I often find myself reading other forms of writing that I maybe normally don't read as much. It just comforts me usually. And sometimes I end up writing in other forms. And so that's kind of what I wanted to touch on today is that, if your normal form of writing is creative nonfiction or screenwriting, like for me, I often turn to poetry for some reason during difficult times. And, I don't consider myself a poet, but there's something about returning to a framework that's like a little different than what I'm used to that just kind of jolts me out of my funk a little bit. And so if you're having a hard time sitting down to do the work that you would normally do, maybe you read some work outside of your normal genre or your normal form, or maybe you work on some writing that's outside of that form just to see what happens, just to see what comes out of that. Because usually for me, what'll happen is if I sit down and write a poem or write some fiction or just something else, it eventually kind of leads me back to my normal forms of writing. And so I'm also just trusting. I was talking to one of my writer friends this afternoon for a while, and we were talking about how we were just both struggling to work on our usual projects. But I'm also learning just to really trust that eventually I'll get back to it. This is just a time of upheaval, and I've had those before, and that eventually I do get back to it. It's like trying to find your footing again and just kind of integrating what's been happening and what our new sense of normal might be going forward. And it's going to take us all a while to find that, and we don't know how long it's going to take, and that can be really unsettling. So I wanted to read today one of the books I turn to. I find that I just love Pablo Neruda, an anthology of odes. I love his odes. I don't know. My favorite is Ode to an Onion, but I'm not going to read that one today. But I love that one, and I love this book, and I'll link it in today's talk. But I wanted to read Ode to the Present. This present moment, smooth as a wooden slab, this immaculate hour, this day pure as a new cup from the past. No spider web exists with our fingers. We caress the present. We cut it according to our magnitude. We guide the unfolding of its blossoms. It is living, alive. It contains nothing from the unrepairable past, from the lost past. It is our infant, growing at this very moment, adorned with sand, eating from our hands. Grab it. Don't let it slip away. Don't lose it in dreams or words. Clutch it, tie it, and order it to obey you. Sorry, I have to turn the page. Make it a road, a bell, a machine, a kiss, a book, a caress. Take a saw to its delicious wooden perfume and make a chair. Braid its back. Test it. Or then build a staircase. Yes, a staircase. Climb into the present, step by step. Press your feet onto the resinous wood of this moment. Going up, not very high, just so you repair the leaky roof. Don't go all the way to heaven. Reach for apples, not the clouds. Let them fluff through the sky, skimming passage into the past. You are your present, your own apple. Pick it from your tree. Raise it in your hand. It's gleaming, rich with stars. Claim it. Take a luxurious bite out of the present, and whistle along the road of your destiny.